square miles of barracks, and there were many different camps. The women's camp was called Birkenau, and that was really the worst camp, because Auschwitz itself used to be the barracks for the officers of the Polish army, and there were brick buildings with toilets underneath. Of course, the bunks, the beds were changed into bunks, and there was not always water and things like that. The toilets didn't always work, but it was at least a proper building. Birkenau, there were just low barracks, which used to be stables for the horses of the Polish cavalry. Of course, there were not enough. Later, they built on many more buildings, and there were from wood with just on both sides bunks 3 high, about like 4 of you sitting. That was the width, and 10 people had to sleep in there. So the living condition was terrible. In those wooden beams, there were bed bugs which dropped down to us in the night. They were about the size of your nail, and they sucked your blood, and they stuck with little legs, they stuck on your body. And when we tried to remove it, they made wounds which we scratched. So we were full of open wounds which got infected. And you know, washing was practically impossible, because 5,000 people had a little washroom where there was practically no water. So in the end, we just gave up to try to get to water during the whole week. And we were full of lice, not just head lice, but body lice. So we scratched continuously. And if we were lucky, we had once a week a shower where we could get a little bit clean. Of course, it was never warm water, and there was not much water and no soap, but at least a little bit of cleanliness we were able to have once a week if we were lucky.
Was the day of your deportation, was that the last time you saw your brother and father?
My brother I never saw. Well, when we got to Auschwitz, we traveled together in a cattle truck, and this is, at that time, my father apologized to us that from now on he can't do anything anymore to help us. You know, he said he got us out of Austria, he got us a new home, he was in hiding for 2 years, he helped us with that financially and everything, but from now on we are on our own. And I think this was what killed him. As a father, he wasn't able to protect his family anymore. So just by miracle and luck, I did see my father in the camp a few times, but I never ever saw my brother.
So, I mean, it's all, when the experience that most people have of understanding the Holocaust comes from films, like Schindler's List, for example, and various Counterfeiters, a recent film, and various others. I mean, how realistic are those depictions? And was it as daily as was the routine they described?
Some pictures are very good. There is, for instance, A Pianist, which is, I think, the best film I've seen about this subject. There are other films like, probably most of you have seen that, The Boy in the Striped Pyjama. Any of you seen that? Or read the book? Well, this is a complete fantasy that could never have happened. There is a scene where the Jewish doctor, who is a prisoner in the striped suit, had to serve on the table when the SS had a party, had to pour their wine. Well, this is completely ridiculous, because we never mixed with the Nazis. You know, we were lice infected, and we might have typhus germs and things. We never were able to do anything like that. And as well, the little boy had to clean the champagne glasses in that house. Well, completely ridiculous. And as well, that he could dig under the fence. It was electrified barbed wire, very, very strong current. You could never get near it. So this was a bad film.
Did people try to climb under or over the fence?
No, never. But some people did try, and succeeded actually, was to commit suicide. To throw themselves against the fence. If you touched it, that was it. You burned to death already. And sometimes we heard terrible screams because they just stuck onto the fence and became immediately black and burned, and flames came. It was horrible. I've seen it several times. But this was really...
And it was deliberate?
Yes. This was only really if people just couldn't live anymore that way they were treated.
So how? I mean, you probably can't even answer this, but how? I mean, how you were there for how long?
9 months.
And how did you survive? Again, every day was a coin toss, really.
Well, one of the secrets was never ever to give up hope that a miracle will happen and you will be freed. This is, there were many people who wrote about their camp time. One of them was Primo Levi, an Italian, a scientist who was deported from Italy. He worked actually in a factory as a scientist, so it wasn't too bad for him. But he was a writer as well. He wrote many wonderful books. Primo Levi one is This Is a Man. There was even a play about that. And in all his books he writes, he knew when somebody was going to die, when they'd given up hope. Because you really had only a little chance to get through if mentally you kept together, because your body had really already given up.
There was a word that, and Samuel Pizarro also said there was a word that was used in, I think he was in Dhaka, I forget which, he actually moved around. But he said there was a name that was given by Jewish people to those who had given up hope, and it effectively meant the condemned, and that they were certain to die. The moment people said, a look came up, and I forget the name.
You had to really live from day to day, hoping you would end this day still alive.
So how, I mean, you waited a very long time after being freed from the concentration camps. You waited decades even, before telling your story. And now